Arsenal won, Bayer Leverkusen won. We escaped with a draw. I think a fortunate result in the end. On the balance of play, Arsenal were not great, and Bayer Leverkusen can consider themselves a bit unlucky not to hold on to the win. Such is the nature of football, though. We've come away with a draw. We'll bring it all back to the Emirates next week in the second leg. This is the Real Arsenal Deal podcast. Hello and welcome back to the Real Arsenal Deal. Rav here as always, your host. How is everyone today? I am recording this on a bright and sunny Thursday morning, Melbourne time here in Australia. I hope you are well. The match finished about 45 minutes ago. I was actually waiting for the sun to rise so I can step outside and have a bit of light to do this post-match podcast. Look, I do think Arsenal were quite fortunate here. If this was a Premier League match and you escape with a point, it's a classic smash and grab, as you call it. Like you just come away with a point and you take it, you run, and you never speak of it again. But it's a different beast in Europe, isn't it? It's a different beast in the Champions League. I thought Leverkusen were very, very good, as you'd expect, right? It's a tricky situation that we have found ourselves in this match, that we have so many nearly moments, and I guess it goes beyond this match, and maybe it just speaks to Arsenal in the last few weeks as we're closing in on hopefully what we all feel will be a title winning season, and we hope there's more glory than that. Of course, we've still got a quadruple chance, but the point I'm trying to make is that you feel that Arsenal are just playing cautiously. We're playing just within ourselves at times, a little bit risk averse. There's some passes that can be played. There's openings, but we're just not quite taking them. It was epitomized a few times tonight. Martinelli, I know he's a polarizing player. There's something about him in the Champions League as well. I understand why Arteta would have given him the nod tonight. He epitomized a few of those moments, just that extra touch he didn't need to play. There was one clear moment in the second half as we broke away forward, and Gyökeres was ahead of him trying to make a run, trying to make space. Martinelli just stopped and he just played it backwards to Rice, and it's frustrating moments like that when I see what the team is capable of. We have the openings there, just to be able to split that pass through the middle, break the lines, and not get bogged down by the old horseshoe of death, which I think it really sort of reared its ugly head again tonight. Look, having said all of that, we come away with a draw. So, we've managed the occasion. We've managed the occasion well. If you can't win the game, don't lose it. And we've come away with a draw late on, thanks to a penalty that was converted by Havertz. So on the penalty itself, look, I'll just give my honest opinion. Like I try not to be too biased or anything that I'm sometimes accused of being. I try to bring a bit of measure to this conversation, my recordings too. If we conceded a penalty like that, I'd be pretty annoyed. I'd be pretty upset. Sure, I can say all the right things that defenders lunged in, right? Like once you dive, once you roll the dice on that in the box, when you've got a pacey winger, charging past you, sure, you're at the risk, you're at the mercy of what may happen. There was contact, yes, of course. However, is it enough to be a penalty? Look, I'm not complaining, of course. I'll get that out of the way too. I'll take it because I can, and I'm sure you can name a number of decisions where Arsenal are harshly done by, where we've had like ridiculous, perplexing decisions or non-decisions by referees. We hardly get any penalties at all, to be honest. So I will take every one with both hands gleefully. I didn't think this was enough to be a penalty. And if we'd conceded at the other end, I'd be pretty annoyed because, look, Madueke, who as well, I need to sing his praises. I thought he changed the game. He gave us a level of directness that we were otherwise lacking. If my earlier summary was true for the majority of the match, that we didn't have that directness, we didn't take on a pass or just charge straight in, trying to make something happen with some intensity. Madueke was the opposite of that. He came on for Saka, which was a very bold decision, by the way, from Arteta. It's not often you see Arteta hook Saka unless he's injured. At that stage of the game, it was 56, 57 minutes, something like that. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So a bold move, and quite potentially on the balance of the game, it was a game-changing move as well. Madueke immediately had that spring in his step, had that directness. You don't quite know what you're going to get from Madueke, because if I describe Martinelli as a polarizing player, I think the same applies to Noni. That some days he just looks incredible, absolutely incredible. Looks sublime with his quick feet, his movement, his direct pass. He just takes on fullbacks. He's got that attacking instincts. That's how I so often want to see. Other times, though, or even sometimes within the same match, his final ball leaves a lot to be desired. But this was an excellent performance from Madueke. And look, he's really put himself. When you perform like that in a game state of this magnitude for Arsenal, it puts himself into the selection framework for the Premier League. There's a genuine question mark over at left wing, isn't there? I mean, that's something that we've been talking about pretty much all season. I do believe there's a starting position there available that, over the course of the season, it looked like Trossard had locked that one down. He's gone a little bit off the boil of late, which can often happen. Martinelli, who, as I mentioned, he did have a few nearly moments, but he was pretty good today. Like he was actually probably one of our better attacking players in a match where we didn't really have much attacking threat otherwise. But still, there's still an opportunity there for someone just to really put their hands up and say, hey, I want this starting winger left spot. And look, I'd really like to see something different on left wing. I'm just saying that right now. I wouldn't mind at all if this weekend against Everton, if Madueke started on left wing, or can we try Eze there again? I say it every podcast. You're probably sick of hearing it. You're probably sick of hearing my voice saying the same thing. I just feel that there's something worthwhile going back to there. There's a different technicality, a different equation as well, different relationships with Gyökeres as centre forward, having Eze next to him on the left, or Havertz in behind Gyökeres and Eze on the left. There's just something that I would like to see different. But look, back to the match itself. I think I'll start with selections that I usually try and cover. It was a very, very strong lineup from Arsenal. It was excellent to see the key players back. Saliba was one that I was really hoping to see, because things just gone a little bit quiet about the severity of his ankle injury that kept him out a week or two ago. So it was a very, very strong 11, just what I wanted to see. And look, I guess the biggest question for me was, would Havertz be fit enough to start? He played 60-odd minutes on the weekend in the FA Cup, so I'm not sure is backing it up 3 or 4 days later. Is it too soon for him? I'd imagine maybe the club is eyeing off Everton this weekend as a Premier League start for Kai Havertz. But other than that, look, it was a very, very strong lineup. We had a few nearly moments, I guess, in the first half. Aside from that's right, it was, I think, our first shot on target came from Martinelli rattling the crossbar. Look, technically doesn't count as a shot on target, but you know what I mean. I think that was the closest we came. It was a strange opening, I must say. The opening few minutes, that generally it could have been a red card. I know it's it'll be so unusual for the referee to dish out two yellows in the opening 3 or 4 minutes. But the first yellow card was absolutely there. Gyökeres was dragged down. That was a clear yellow card because he was shaping himself up to shoot. But the second one, he's basically just, look, in Australian football terms, AFL terms, like you call that a shoulder charge. He's just absolutely run through Gyökeres. It was basically like a shoulder into his face. That's about as a blatant body check as you're going to see. It's arguably it could have been a second yellow card and it'd be off. Again, I wasn't expecting to be paid because it's so rare the referee would do that so soon. And he had very strong words with the player straight after. And of course, lo and behold, he's their goal scorer right early on in the second half. But this is one of those things like it's just the randomness of football, isn't it? So although I don't know a great deal about this current Leverkusen team, I know that they were invincibles a couple of seasons ago, but a number of key players have moved on, Xhaka and Hincapié included amongst them. There's still enough quality out there to cause Arsenal some problems. I believe they were missing their top scorer, Patrick Schick, who I must say my sons really enjoyed hearing that name being said. They were absolutely certain that Schick was pronounced as something else, if you know what I mean. But their centre forward who played Kofane, I believe his name was. Look, it's very, very rare that you see Saliba and Gabriel troubled by a centre forward. I think there's only been a handful of times over the last few seasons that I've seen someone really, really give them a run for their money. The likes of Ivan Toney from Brentford a few seasons ago stands out. Of course, there's been some great battles with Haaland. The gentleman from Sunderland, Brobby, as well, he was a handful. But this guy, look, full credit to him. Absolutely full credit. He really made Saliba and Gabriel work. he worked them over too at times. He was strong, tall, agile. He could turn quickly as well, accelerated quickly. One time he was through on Gabriel and closed down ever so quickly from Hincapié, charging in from left back. That was a real danger moment that we had to snuff out. So full credit to him. I thought their right winger as well, Poku, I believe his name is. He was also very impressive. So look, it's just one of those things that as much as Arsenal, I want to see Arsenal blow teams away. I want to see us, that greedy, maybe that unrealistic, greedy side of me just wants to see us go out there and win 3-4-0, just so we can rest some key players in the second leg, because we know how taxing the workload is going to be. But if it doesn't work that way, football doesn't work that way. You look at the way the English teams are faring so far in the round of 16. Liverpool lost yesterday. You saw Spurs get blown away in very difficult circumstances for their goalkeeper. I mean, what can you even say about that? It's a humiliation on a whole new level for that club, really. As I stepped out to record this, I checked the scores and I saw Real Madrid are doing City 3-0. I don't know the current score because that was just on half-time. By the time you listen to this, you would know the full-time results. So apologies if I've got that wrong. And PSG were leading Chelsea 2-1. So, all of a sudden, there's a situation where maybe Arsenal are the only team across the Premier League teams to not lose the opening leg in the Champions League round of 16 ties across Europe. I'm not saying that excuses the way we played or not doing more in this match. I'm not saying that at all. But sometimes a bit of context matters, because we often hear that the Premier League dominance, but then going away in Europe is such a hard, difficult thing to do. And on the balance of play, did we deserve to win? Probably no. But is a draw a fair result? Well, yeah, overall it probably is. And we're going to bring this all, but it's all to play for in the second leg at the Emirates. So there'll be much that will be analysed in this match across a number of facets all throughout the team. I think one thing that we're going to be most disappointed with is the way we've conceded that goal. I couldn't believe what I was watching. By the way, I got to admit, I just got back in time from halftime. So it's a 4:45 a.m. kickoff here in Melbourne. Halftime, I tiptoe around the house. I don't want to wake anyone up. So I very slowly make my way to the kitchen, make myself a drink, and then I get to the bathroom. And I just got back in time to see, just after halftime, the restart. And the way that Leverkusen started that second half, wow, like what an opening from kickoff. It looked to me like a set play or a technique that they've trained for, because they took the ball and swept forward, and it took an excellent Raya save to tip it over the bar for a corner. We were almost asleep. It's almost as if we were still in the tunnel. We just weren't prepared. From that corner, that's where they've scored. It's just on 46 minutes basically on the clock, and it was a very, very strange goal for Arsenal to concede. We know our prowess at set pieces, so it would sting even more so to be outdone by the opposition on a header from a corner. And I don't know what's quite happened. Like, who's lost him in the who's failed to track the run? I saw Eza collided with a Leverkusen player and tumbled over. Not enough for a foul, but there was just no one there at the back post to cover. 1-0 Leverkusen, and it was just a really strange goal for Arsenal to concede, and I'm sure would be very, very disappointed in rewatching that. And at halftime, I myself was actually wondering, are we going to make a change? Like, is it time to bring Havertz on and maybe just change our shape and structure? I don't think Zubimendi had a great first half. It's just interesting watching the evolution of our midfield over the course of the season. Rice and Zubimendi, of course, they're our first midfield pairing. But over the course of the season, it seems that Zubimendi's influence is starting to wane a bit. I know he's played a lot of football, a lot of minutes. He wasn't quite getting into the game as you'd expect, whereas Rice was everywhere, as he quite often is. He's covering a lot of distance, a lot of space. It begs the question that I know sometimes other people pose as well, is that, are there situations, do we need both of them? Can we maybe look at a situation where, and again, I think we're hamstrung by not having Odegaard fit, that maybe there's a situation where you can have Odegaard and Eza in front of either one of Rice or Zubimendi. Quite often, I reckon it would be Rice, but we're not really able to see that because of the recurrent injuries to Odegaard, and he's been really missed. I must say that his absence is ticking on now. I think the injury came in that Brentford match. That's quite some time ago now. So, it's a bit of a nagging injury. It's been over a month already, and not quite sure how much longer he's going to be out for. We then did turn to the bench, as I mentioned before. The Madueke move, again, I'll praise Arteta for that, because it's not often he would make a bold decision like that to bring Saka off, his key man, the captain on the night. And Saka struggled. I must say, I take no joy in saying this because I absolutely adore Saka, and I still do believe he's going to be the one who's going to lead us to glory this season. I would like to see him go on a run now and just take the game by the scruff of the neck and really impose his authority on these matches. But he was too easily negated, I feel, in this match. Very, very often, he just always would cut back in predictably on his left foot. Now, everyone knows he's going to do it, of course. I mean, opposition team defenders, coaches, they've been preparing for this for many, many seasons now. But they overloaded Saka and he had no answer. So even though he was being double teamed, triple teamed, he still tried to take them on and we just cede possession. We turn it over. It was just frustrating. He wouldn't get the ball back to someone else in another area. And look, on the balance of his performance, I can totally understand why the change needed to happen. When I saw that it was Madueke coming on just in isolation, a part of me did worry because we haven't seen the greatest combination yet of Martinelli, Madueke, and Gyökeres as a front three. There's just not that technical security that the ball can quite often come back and we could turn over the ball. But full credit to Madueke, as I said, he changed the entire complexion. We need to thank him a lot because he's without him losing 1-0 away at Leverkusen, it would be a difficult outcome for us to digest. And just on Gyökeres for a moment, I actually thought he started very brightly in this match. And sometimes you can just tell, is he on it with his first touch? And within the opening minute or so, the way he received the ball and he twisted and turned and played it off, he looked good. His couple of early touches, I know he's been described as clunky at times. I myself included, the ball can just sort of spring back off him and it can just be turned over cheaply. But he looked good in his first few touches. And as I said, he was about to get a shot off before their defender dragged him down and got a yellow card. But unfortunately, as the match went on, his presence faded. Same with Eza. So yeah, we needed to make the change. Havertz came on 75 minutes. Very emotional return for him. His boyhood club. We know what it means to him, and for him to step up and score that penalty and have the composure that he did, full credit to him, because I can imagine just the emotions going through his head at the time. Immediately when the ref gave the penalty, my mind straight away went to who's going to take it, because we already know Odegaard is off the pitch. He's completely absent, sorry. Saka and Gyökeres are off the pitch. They've been subbed out. And what are the odds, right, that on the rare occasion that Arsenal actually do get a penalty, we don't have our best penalty takers on the field ready to take it. So Havertz thankfully stepped up. He had the composure to do it. And I was left thinking of the first penalty he took for Arsenal. It's been described as a charity penalty. Do you remember a few seasons ago when he was having a difficult opening few matches adapting to Arsenal? There was a lot of conjecture about his signing, the price tag, all that stuff that we know is now a song. It's all part of the Waka Waka song. But he was given that charity penalty, and he almost looked embarrassed to receive it. And after he scored, he was very sheepish in his celebrations. He didn't really celebrate, actually. It was his teammates getting around him and slapping him on the back of their head and stuff. And what a contrast just a couple of years later in a match of this stature for him to step up now and score as he did, to be as composed as he did. That's huge for him, absolutely huge. He's so integral to Arsenal. And like I've been saying a lot lately, like whatever Arsenal do or don't do this season, I feel it's going to be closely tied to Kai Havertz's availability. I've just got that feeling he's so crucial. I know he's played so little of our minutes overall, and we're in an excellent position, right, despite his absence. But I feel at this crunch time, you need someone of that experience. You need someone of that caliber, right? We just need Kai Havertz. We need him as fit and to play as much as possible without overloading him and losing him again. It's a very fine balance to strike, but boy, do we need him. So a couple of other comments just in closing here. It was interesting that, aside from our actual goal, we didn't really create that much. I can't think of too many openings in the second half. Timber came closest. It was an excellent cross from Martinelli. Good play on the left. He's charged in. He's beaten his fullback. He's crossed the ball on his left foot. Timber, it's actually harder to miss than it is to score that. Timber is someone I've praised on this podcast before. Someone, despite his height, he sure can head the ball. He's an amazing duel winner. He would look back at that replay and wonder what's just happened. He rose, he struck the ball well, but he's put it over the bar from point blank range. It was a really bad miss. And without the goal that we eventually got from the penalty, we could be really ruining that moment. Thankfully, it hasn't been as costly as it could have been. But time and again, it was Timber who got the most advanced out of all of our players. Our right back, our fullback, is consistently finding himself in deep attacking positions. I'm not too sure, is that by design, or what does that say for our misfiring attack or our attacking setup overall? I'm not quite sure. It depends which angle you want to look at it. I don't think it's a great reflection. I maintain the forwards need to do more as a defensive unit, as a midfield unit and a back line and a goalkeeper. We are elite. We just need our forwards to step up and do more, especially in key moments. So next up is Everton in the Premier League this weekend. That is a huge match at home. Everton have an excellent record away from home in the Premier League. They've caused Arsenal a lot of problems over the last few seasons. The whole Moyes factor again. We know what's coming. He's enjoyed a lot of success as well at the Emirates Stadium in recent seasons too. So this is a huge, huge game, and we absolutely need the 3 points, because then it's quite a gap, isn't it, between the next Premier League match after that. It's the second leg next week against Leverkusen, then the EFL Cup final the following weekend, then there's an international break. So there's quite some time. Like, how great would it be to bank another 3 points? It just pile all the pressure on Manchester City, extend our lead. Hopefully they slip up again, but we just got to keep focusing and get the job done. And I would like to think that someone like Madueke is now in the framework for some minutes. We need some spark up forward. I mean, you saw what Dowman did in the FA Cup. Maybe certain game stage, can he come on and impact in 12, 15-minute bursts? We need to be looking at all options here, because ultimately, when you get to this time of the season, it's just a game breaker. Someone who can just take the game by the scruff of the neck, go on a run, and even if it's 4 to 6 matches, right, and just swing matches in your favour, that can be the difference. In a league of the finest to finest margins, that can be the difference. And we're looking for that change maker. We're looking for the game changer. There's plenty who are capable, and if there was ever a time to step up, now is the time to do it. So on that note, I will bring this one to a close. I will talk to you all again soon after what I hope is a resounding win against Everton on the weekend. Thank you as always for listening. Thank you to all my recent followers and subscribers. The recent comments I'm getting, the activity, greatly, greatly appreciate it. Keep it coming. I'll read every single word. Look after yourselves, okay? And I'll talk to you all again soon. Check in with your loved ones, and come on, Arsenal.